Hi students, in today's lecture we are going to start a new module called user defined functions. So let's start with the introduction. C functions can be classified into two major categories. One is library functions and user defined functions. So we have been studying library functions, right? So like printf, scanf and comparison of two strings, that is str cmp. So these are all library functions. What are library functions? The functions which are already written in the C. So it is already available. It is like ready-made functions. We don't have to write any functions. We can just import those functions. They are already predefined. So such functions are called library functions. They are available in packages, libraries. And the second category is user defined functions. So as the name itself says, user is going to define a function according to his requirement. Okay, so user defined functions are nothing but the functions which are created by the user. Let's see what are library functions. Library functions are not required to be written by us. It means they are already predefined or pre-written. Printf and scanf belong to the category of library functions, which we have already studied, right? And some of the library functions are like square root, sqrt, which is defined in math library, right? Cos and string concatenation, strcat, which is defined in string.h. So these are the some of the examples of library functions. Let's say what is user defined function. User defined functions have to be developed by the user at the time of writing a program. So these are the functions which are defined and developed or written by the user at the time of writing a program. So they are not predefined. User defined functions can later become a part of the C program library. Like one of the example for this is main. We have been using main functions in our program, right? So main is not a library or library function. It is a user defined function which is part of the C program library. So main function is basically a user defined function. Main is an example of user defined functions, and this later became part of the C program library. That's why we are not importing main function, because it is user defined. Then what is the need for user defined function where we already have some of the library functions? Then what is the need for user defined functions? Why do we require user defined functions? Every program must have a main function. We know that without main function we cannot execute a program, right? It is possible to code any program utilizing only main function. It leads to a number of problems. So let's imagine we have only main function as the user defined function in our program. So one of the biggest problem is, as you go on adding more functionalities to your program lines become more and more, means your program size tends to be large, because you are not going to use any user defined functions. You have not used any user defined function, that's why you will go on adding more lines to your program. So your program size becomes very large. This is one of the problem with the older technique, that is not using user defined function. The program may become too large and complex, and as a result the task of debugging and testing and maintaining becomes difficult. So if your program is very large, what happens? debugging the errors becomes very difficult because it is very huge. So if you want to debug your error, you have to go through your whole program, right? So maybe your program is having 1000 lines of code. Okay, let's imagine you have a program which is of 1000 lines. Now the problem is you have got errors in your program. Since you have not used any user defined functions, removing such error becomes a headache. And the second problem is, if a program is divided into functional parts, then each part may be independently coded and later combined into a single unit. So instead of writing whole program at a stretch, what we are doing is we are dividing the program into functional parts, different functional parts, and then we are going to combine those functional parts into a single unit. Now what I will do, I will debug those functional parts separately. So instead of debugging the whole program at a stretch, I am going to debug individual functional parts separately. Now whenever I get some error, I will be sure that this function part has error, because I am doing it individually, right? I am debugging it individually. That's why I will easily get to know in which part error has occurred. So debugging the errors become very easy. So these sub programs or small function parts are nothing but functions. These subprograms are called functions, and they are very easy to understand, debug and test. As I have already told, we are going to individually debug the errors. So it is very easy to understand, right? Yeah, there are some times when some types of operation or calculation is repeated at many points throughout a program, like addition. Okay, what we are doing is we are doing the same thing repeatedly, multiple number of times. So instead of writing the code multiple times, I am going to make use of user defined functions. I am not going to use the same code multiple times. Like I am not going to write the same code multiple times. I am going to write it once and I am going to use it multiple times. So that is the benefit of using user defined functions. Only once it is written and it can be used multiple times. So another approach is to design a function that can be called and used whenever required. So a function can be written and it will be called only when it is required. If it is not required, then we are not going to call that function. So this saves both time as well as space. So if the particular function is not required, then why to call it simply, right? We are going to call the function only if it is required. So this saves time as well as space. And it facilitates top down modular programming. Top down means from top to bottom. The length of a source program can be reduced by using functions at appropriate places. As I've already told, instead of writing the same code multiple times, I'm going to write it once and I'm going to use it multiple times. So this will cut off the length of the program. And it is easy to locate and isolate a faulty function for further investigations. Since we have divided our program into multiple subparts, that is functions, it is very easy to identify the faulty function. In which function we have a fault. It is very easy to understand. A function may be used by many other programs. This means that a C program can build on what others have already done instead of starting over from scratch. So one of the examples is printf and scanf. So imagine if we didn't have printf and scanf in libraries, okay, they were not defined in library functions. Then each and every time whenever we want to print something, we would have to write a code for displaying the result. Instead of using printf statement, we would have been writing the code which may be of some say 10 lines. Just to print one statement, we would have required 10 lines of code if we didn't have printf and scanf statements as the library functions. Okay, so function makes our life very easy. We don't have to repeat the same thing over and over. It is just like preparing something and making it available to everyone for usage. So anybody who wants to use it can use it for free. They don't have to prepare the same thing again. They can use it like it is their own thing. Like for example, library. We don't have to purchase a particular book, right? Whenever we want a particular book, we would go to library and we would select the book and read it. Instead of buying the book every time, we would go to library and choose that book and start reading. So after completion of the reading, we would return that book to the same library so that others can use it. The next concept is multifunction program. A function is a self-contained block of code that performs a particular task. So function is nothing but a self-contained block of code that performs particular task. So each and every function is designed to do some particular task. Once a function has been designed and packed, it can be treated as a black box that takes some data from the main program and returns a value. So whenever a function has been designed, it will be treated as a black box. Just imagine a black box and takes data from the main program and returns a value. So we are going to take a data from the main program and we are going to return the value to the main program again. Whatever the inner details it has will be invisible to the rest of the program. So the program actually does not know what is happening inside the function. It is the responsibility of the function to take care what is going inside. So the whole program does not know what is actually happening inside the function. So the data inside the function is invisible to the program. So one example is given here. Inside the main function we have a print line function and then we have printf. So see, when a print line function is called, the pointer will be coming to this particular line, print line here, and then it will start executing this block of code. First inside this print line, first it will declare int I. I is declared as integer data type, and then what we are doing is we are just printing. This is not printf, it is printf. Okay, spelling mistake, please correct it. So we are using one for loop. It takes a value from 1 to 39 because I is less than 40, that's why it takes a value from 1 to 39. So after each statement we are going to print a hyphen. So in each loop, in each iteration we are going to print a hyphen. So like this we are going to print 39 times, 1 to 39. So we are going to print hyphen for 39 times. So this is the task done by print line statement. What are the different elements of user defined functions? Functions are classified as one of the derived data types in C. So functions are nothing but a derived data types. I hope you all remember what are the different data types of data types, right? Basic data types, derived data types. I hope you all remember this. It can define function. We can define functions and use them like any other variables in C programs. Then what are the similarities between functions and variables in C? Both function name and variable names are considered as identifiers, and therefore they must adhere to the rules for identifiers. So whenever we talk about identifiers, there comes the set of rules which needs to be followed, right? Yeah. Since function is similar to variable, obviously it has to adhere to the rules for identifiers. Please recall the rules for identifiers. Like variables, functions have types such as int associated with them. So whenever we declare variables, we have to specify their data types. In a similar way, we are going to specify the data types for functions as well. Like variables, function names and their types must be declared and defined before they are used in a program. So before using any function names, we should define and declare the names and their data types. Before going to use function names in the program, we have to declare and define the names and their data types. So there are three elements related to the functions. These three elements are very, very important. Okay. The first element is function definition, and the second one is function call, and then function declaration. Let's see one by one in detail. The function definition is an independent program module that is specially written to implement the requirements of the function. To use this function, we need to invoke it at a required place in the program. This is known as the function call. So I will explain these things with an example. Okay. The program that calls a function is referred to as the calling program or calling function. The calling program should declare any function that is to be used later in the program. This is known as function declaration or function prototype. So for a time being, you please remember these three words: function definition, function call, function declaration. These are the basic elements of user defined functions. Yeah. Let's see the syntax for the function. First thing is main function. Inside the main function, we are going to call the particular function. So inside the main function, we are going to write the name of the function. The name is of your choice. You can give any name, but you have to follow the rules for identifiers, because even function is treated as the identifier. That's why while giving the name to the function, you have to follow the rules of the identifiers. Function 1, and then you have to use pair of parentheses, because each and every function ends with pair of parentheses. Even our main function has pair of parentheses, right? Okay, so function name and then pair of parentheses. This is called calling function. This is called calling function because it is calling the particular function. So whenever the counter or the whenever our excuse me, whenever the control encounters this particular function name, it will jump to the particular function. Whenever control encounters this line, it will jump to the section of the function. So in this section, we will be having return type, that is data type of the function, and then function name. This function name and this function name should be same. They should match, then only we can call that function. Otherwise it will show error that saying that function is not defined. So this statement is called called function because it is called by the calling function. This particular statement is called calling function, and this is called called function because it is being called by the function. So this is the basic syntax. So whatever the task we are going to perform is enclosed within this block. Okay. Yeah. Let's see the first element of the function, that is definition of functions. A function definition is also known as function implementation shall include the following elements. It contains the following elements, that is function name, function type, list of parameters, local variable declaration, function statements and return statement. Yeah. Function name, as I have already told, each and every function will have some name. This is of user choice, but you have to adhere to the rules of the identifiers. The second is function type. What type of what type of data it is going to return. And the third information is list of parameters. So these parameters will be listed inside the pair of parentheses. So inside this pair of parentheses, we are going to list the parameters. Then comes the local variable declaration. Local variable declaration in the sense, those variables can be used only within that particular function. We cannot use that variable outside the function because it is declared within that function. So it can be used only within that function. That is why it is called local variable declaration. It cannot be used outside the function. And then we have function statements. These are nothing but the actual task which will be performed by the functions. And finally we have return statement. What it is going to return. So all these 6 elements are grouped into 2 parts. The first 3 elements are called function header, that is function name, function type and list of parameters. So all these elements are listed in a single line. First one is function type and then function name. So inside the parenthesis we have list of parameters. So all these are included in a single line. And then the second part is, that is last 3 elements are called function body. That is second 3 elements are called function body, that is local variable declaration, function statements and return statement. So these are enclosed within pair of braces or flower brackets. So these 3 elements are called function body. So let's see the syntax. This is the basic structure or basic form of C function. Function type, function name and parameter list. In that parameter list should be inside the pair of parentheses. So inside the pair of braces we have local variable declaration, then statements, finally we have return expression. So these statements can be one statement or collection of multiple statements. We can have multiple statements or single statement. Finally we have return statement. And all these elements should end with semicolons. The first line, function type, function name, parameter list, is known as the function header. So these lines are known as, this line is known as the function header, and the statements within the opening and closing brace constitute the function body. So these things are called function body. What is function header? Function header consists of 3 parts. Function type, also known as return type. So this function type is also known as return type. So this gives a clue. Whenever you return something, return some value, data type of that value should match with the function type or return type. So for example, if I return number 2, return 2, then my function should have been defined as int, because the data type I am return is integer, right? Because 2 is integer data type. That's why my function type should be of integer. Understanding? I cannot have float as my function type or return type. One most important thing here is header does not have any semicolon. You should not use any semicolon at the end of the header. If you use the semicolon at the end of the header, then your program will fail. You should not use the semicolon at the end of the header. This is very, very important. Then comes name and type. The function type specify the type of value like float, double, what type of data it is going to return. If the return type is not explicitly specified, then C assumes it as an integer data type. If actually it is void data type, I think they've given some wrong information. Let me check. Okay, if the return type is not explicitly specified, C assumes it as void. As per my knowledge, it is void data type. Let me check. Okay, I will check this and tell you tomorrow. If the function is not returning anything, then we need to specify the return type as void. So if we are not going to return anything, then we need to specify the return type as void data type. Function name is any valid C identifier and therefore just follow the same rules of formation as other variable names in C. So let's see what are the formal parameter list. The parameter list declares the variables that will receive the data sent by the calling program. So it basically declares the variables that will receive the data sent by the calling program. So parameter lists are nothing but collection of variables which are separated by commas. So it contains data type and the name of the variable. So they are like input data to the function. So parameter lists are nothing but input to the function in order to carry out some specified task. They represent actual input values. They are often referred to as formal parameters. They represent actual input values. So whatever the input values we we are going to put inside the parameter list, that will be called actual input values. That's why they are called formal parameters. These parameters can also be used to send values to the calling programs. So they can be used inside the calling functions also. Not only in called function, it can also be used in calling function. Parameter is also known as arguments. So instead of parameter list, you can also use argument list. So one example for function is float, quadratic. So here float is the function type or the return type. It means quadratic function is going to return floating value. So in your return statement, you have to give only the floating values, or you can give any expression which will give the floating values as the result. And the parameter list means inputs given to this quadratic function is integer a, means the first input is of type int and the name is a. Int b, the second input is again integer data type, the name of the variable is b, and then int c. The third data or variable is of type integer and the name is c. We know how to calculate quadratic equations, right? Yeah. So inside the braces we have the body of the function. What we are going to perform inside that function, that will be included within pair of parentheses. So at the end of the function you have to write a return statement which will return only the floating values. You can write any return expression also, but that should be of floating value. And then we have int sum. It means we are going to sum, or we are going to add some integer values, and also it will return only integer values. See, the first data type, that is int, it specifies that this function will return only integer values, and inside the pair of parentheses we have int a and int b. Means we are going to add two values which is of type integer again. So basically this function is going to take two inputs of integer data types, and it will add those inputs and will return the result in integer format only, because my data type or my function type is of int. That's why it will add two integer functions, that is integer values, that is int a and int b. So instead of a and b we are going to pass the actual values, okay, even though we have written a and b, because in general we have given some name to the variable, because we are not going to add any particular values, because user is going to put the values, right? Yeah, there is no semicolon after the closing parenthesis. Please remember this. Header does not have any semicolon at the end. The declaration parameter variables cannot be combined. So this is the definition part. Let's see the declaration part in the future, okay. So if the parameter list is empty, means if the function is not taking any input, then we can specify inside the parenthesis, we can write void. It means that there is no input for that function. So even if you don't use void, by default C assumes that it is empty. We don't have to explicitly specify it. Many compiler accept an empty set of parentheses. It is good to use void to indicate nil parameter list. So our C compiler which we are using in the lab, that is GCC, it accepts empty set of parentheses. So you don't have to specify it explicitly. If it is not taking any input, then we have to specify the parameter list as void. Even if you don't specify, it's completely fine. Okay, so this we can see it in the next class.